How I look?
Really good.
We look good.
Welcome back to the Catching Corner. This is episode. Hey, and that's Coach Tyler Gillum.
Don't slow that down in slow motion or anything.
No, you do not want to see that again. Last week we talked about some fun stuff. We talked about the reasons why we catch. We talked about our inspirations. If you didn't see that, go check it out. This week we got some good stuff planned. We're going to be talking about the style and the techniques of how we catch. We're going to be talking about bill hopping on the mound. Pretty awesome. And then we're going to be looking forward to getting to Arizona and what things are going to look like for us in Banana Land. You ready?
Yeah, man. I'm excited for Arizona. Excited to talk about my pitching experience. And you catch me behind the dish.
Yep.
So a little connection there. Yeah, man. Excited for episode 2, baby.
So first thing I want to talk about a little bit is kind of the technique behind the way that we catch. So I've seen a lot of times you like to go to one knee. Talk to me a little bit about what you're trying to do with like your glove presentation and how you're trying to catch the ball. You know, kind of run with this however you want, but like the technique behind how you catch.
Yeah, I grew up like the hard-nosed catcher, like when I was, probably 10, 11 years old when I was first trying out catching, and all the coaches that I ever had were like, one, you don't wear knee savers. That's an absolute, that's a sin. That's a catching sin if you're wearing knee savers. And then 2, if you're down on a knee, that's just lazy. You know what I mean? And that's what every coach always preached forever. And so I was always up in like a 2 feet up on 2 feet stance, and never any knee savers, and just like grinding it out, the gritty, dirty dirt ball behind the plate that blocks everything, dives after everything. And over the years, I've learned a lot about catching and watching other guys, and talking with some really great coaches. And pretty much now I catch 98% of the time, probably 99% of the time on one knee, either left knee down or right knee down. I'm working. It used to be strictly last year, I was only comfortable doing left knee down. I feel like I was the best receiver. I could still block and move that way, but I struggled to throw a little bit. I struggled getting up and throwing to second base. So I learned how to do right knee down. That's something I've been focused on in bullpens and stuff recently, is right knee down. It allows me to push off and throw and even do trick plays now in banana ball with still like down on one knee. I can still go between the legs or behind the back. So, but I feel like I'm a better receiver. I feel like I'm saving, energy, and I'm actually just a better overall catcher. I can block, I can throw and receive better from one knee than I can with both feet up. I feel like my center of gravity is lower to the ground, and therefore, since we're kind of working against gravity, when we're receiving pitches, like the lower end of the ground, the more force I have coming up through the pitch. It's kind of how I feel. So I feel like 99% of the time I'm on one knee right now, and I feel like I'm a better catcher for it.
Man, it's funny you say that, because I've had a similar experience catching on one knee. I find that the low pitch is so much easier to receive because you're already lower to the ground. It kind of gives you the ability to really drop your eyes under it and see everything up above you. One of the other benefits of one knee catching is less strain on your legs, at least from what I've experienced. When I catch on one knee, I find that my legs stay fresher generally, especially when I am alternating between a left knee down and a right knee down, because I have experienced if I've spent a significant amount of time in that left knee down, all of a sudden I feel a little creaky. Yeah, so I like to try to alternate it a little bit, but throughout the course of a game, I definitely notice if I'm going in a knee stance, my legs feel a little bit fresher. When I catch banana ball, I've found I like to kind of alternate between my stances, but I find myself using a little bit more of a traditional, on my 2 leg stance than I did when I caught like in pro ball. I was the same way, growing up, couldn't wear knee savers, which like now I'm kind of like, knee savers might be the move. Like, there's a lot of good catchers that have worn them, and they're for a reason. Save your legs, but also save your knees. But actually, you're really activating your legs too, as long as you're not just sitting on them totally passively. But when I got in the Minnesota Twins system, I was working as a catcher there, and they were one knee down for everything. And that was just the technique they taught. I think Tanner Swanson was the guy there doing that. And it was, left knee down, present the glove, drop it, and then aggressively pull everything to your nose. So the high pitch, swatting down, high target, high chest, swat down to the nose, low pitch, all the way to the ground, pull up to the nose. And it was a totally different way of receiving than I'd ever experienced because it was teaching me to move the ball quickly as opposed to trying not to move my glove. And I liked that technique. I feel like it made sense that if you start around the edges of wherever your intended, you want the ball to be. So if I want the ball to be if I want that ball inside to a righty, I'm going to set my glove over here, get ready to pull it that way. But I've also found some umpires don't necessarily like that. I've had umpires tell me, you're moving the ball too much, or, just because you move it like that, I'm not going to make it a strike type thing. So I think part of that is developing that relationship with your umpire and realizing, what's going to be best for that day and kind of finding a blend of how you're going to work to get strikes for your pitcher that day. But I definitely think moving the ball is something that, a lot of younger catchers might not necessarily do or have ever been taught. But if you get used to catching through the ball, I think it makes it dramatically easier to be strong with it, as opposed to, I think a lot of catchers have a problem letting the ball drag them out of the strike zone.
For sure, 100%. And I feel like that was something I struggled with in high school a lot. As one, I feel like my stance wasn't great. I feel like I was kind of sitting up high, worried about blocking a lot. Like that was my priority. I almost prioritized blocking over receiving, which is like I feel like it goes against the name of the position itself is catching the ball. And so I was always up in this extremely secondary position, wherever I called it the block. It was I was so high up that it's almost impossible, strength wise, to be able to work, to go that way because your body's almost leaning forward.
Top heavy.
Yeah, very top heavy. And I was constantly stabbing. And, for a while, I feel like I struggled, with doing that. And definitely umpires definitely didn't like that. I would rather have them say hey, quit moving the ball so much, or quit you try to quit moving so quickly because I'm not going to call it. I'd rather them kind of give me that. Most of the time that's said with attitude too. It's usually hey, you're not going to get anything else out of me. I'm a good umpire, that kind of which is fine. I would rather them tell me that than maybe stabbing at the ball and making my pitcher look rough out there. So communicating with umpires is definitely a huge thing for catchers to be able to understand them and work with them. But yeah, I would much rather be able to control the ball. I think what you said about controlling the ball and it being a strength, it's better than the opposite of shoving it down. So
yeah, you never want to lose strikes for your pitchers. That's what really stinks. You're working hard for your pitchers. You're working hard for your team. You know that every strike matters. And especially when they throw one that is a strike, it needs to be a strike. And then hopefully as catchers, we're in a position to turn balls into strikes. And that's where catchers can really change the game. I wanted to talk about some of the training methods that you used throughout your career. Anything that particularly stands out to you that really helped you hone your skills, whether it's receiving or blocking or even throwing?
Yeah, I would say one thing is to all, if there's any young catchers out there watching, taking care of your arm is something that's extremely important. We throw just as much. We throw more than anybody else on the field. We throw more than the pitchers. We throw more than than any position guy because we're throwing the ball back to the pitcher constantly. So I feel like taking care of my arm is something I had to learn how to do. Making sure I'm doing my bands, make sure I'm doing some heavy balls to make sure I'm properly warm because we make a lot of throws. And we make some important throws to the game that we need to be prepared for. So one, taking care of my arm. Two, I love receiving with anything that's heavier than a baseball. Barehanded, because I feel like if I can catch a heavy ball with these three fingers right here, if I can catch a heavy ball and even a baseball consistently with these three fingers, the pocket of your glove is going to be right here. And so I almost use the pointer finger is like a backstop of if I can squeeze a ball and control it with these three fingers with my bare hand, and I have small hands anyway, so it's difficult for me to do. If I can control with those three fingers, with the glove, I can almost do anything.
Man, that's funny because that's kind of what you talked to me about a little bit for the technique of when you do catch the ball barehanded for one of your trick plays.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Yeah, which is another fun topic that we learn with trick plays as a catcher. We only have a few opportunities to do that, one throwing, and our big chance to get a trick play as a catcher and banana ball is pop ups behind home plate, foul territory, and I always try to catch them barehanded. When I go up, if my palm is just completely vertical, and the ball tends to just hit my hand and just spin right out. And it's almost like a backboard. But if I turn my hand like this and almost backhand it upwards, if that makes sense, and the ball hits this finger here, it just sticks. And it's just it's like a glove almost. It's really crazy.
Well, it's funny because you get used to catching the ball like kind of off of your hand, right? With the glove, you don't want it to hit your hand. You don't want it to hit your thumb. You don't want to get your hand jammed up. So you kind of aim for, at least me, I kind of aim for right on this like big knuckle of my index finger, or even just slightly off of my hand into my pocket. And it's totally different than how you would catch a regular baseball.
For sure, man. Especially when it's cold. Like you don't want to be messing around with all this when it's cold.
No, don't want to jam a finger up. Got to keep the hands intact for a long season. Okay. I'll ask myself that same question. So,
DR, can you check the battery life real quick? Everything look all right? Actually, it's on the top.
I got it on the bottom left over here.
Okay.
It's got 2 little bars.
Okay, cool. Sorry.
Sweet.
Are you supposed to do recording? Oh, yeah, recording.
Nice. That's good. Because I don't think I recorded on my GoPro, but we don't need that.
First off,
Yeah, it's okay.
action.
Yeah. Training methods that I've liked throughout my career.
Let me ask you.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, EJ, I talked about my techniques and some of my methods. I would love to hear some of your insights about things you've done or your catching techniques or just your insights through techniques or your style catch.
One of the things that I think has been most beneficial to me training to catch is getting on the machine. So I think it's one of those things that nobody really wants to do, but using the machine is one of your best assets as a player if you have access to one, because you can just replicate game speed way better than anybody can just throwing the ball to you, unless you're catching bullpens, which catching bullpens is another great way. But get on the machine and just receive over and over. Hit the target that you are looking for, and also work blocking off the machine, which is what nobody wants to do and stinks. And I've had some catching coaches that would pull us out there every single day to block, and they would put forearm guards on us, and you get beat up a little bit, and it stinks. But really, that's the only way to get those reps in. But one of the things that I'm really big on now, and it's gotten popular for hitting, is using softer, the smash factor or squishy balls, because you can get those same reps in without beating yourself up. So I think that's a really valuable tool. And then also on the receiving end, something that I thought was really beneficial was using bands on my wrist. So just like you would use J-bands when you're going to throw, you can strap those bands up above you to work on the high pitch, or below you, behind you, to work up and train your receiving motion. And kind of just coordinates the whole arm, the shoulder, and wrist kind of in hand working together to catch through the ball with some resistance. And so that was a couple drills that I did that stood out to me, but also just get back there and do it, right? Just catch bullpens every time they're available. That way you're going to build a rapport with your pitchers, and you're going to be able to work on your skills. And when you do catch your bullpens, take them seriously. Treat it like a game, get those reps, because a lot of times people just want to get back there, myself included, can be guilty of this. Just want to grab the glove and kind of turn sideways and hope they don't spike it. But if you really put those reps in, you're going to see the difference when you get to the game and you're way more comfortable.
Yeah, for sure. I think you mentioned multiple things here that I feel like resonates with me too. Like, I feel like reminding me of a story in high school, and Coach McLean, I don't know if you're watching this or not, but we had a coach in high school. He was our strength coach, a football coach, defense coordinator, and he helped coach baseball the first year. Hard-nosed guy, made me tough, made me a better athlete. The year he coached baseball, he would crank the machine to 10 to the max. I mean, just firing straight bullets to us, and we would block. And dude, there was no arm guards on. It was just like 100 miles an hour, spike heaters, knock it down, smother it. And it was like so terrifying. But doing that, and also playing football too, and getting over the fear of getting hit by bigger dudes. I feel like playing multiple sports, training in that crazy way allowed me to just be like, okay, this 80 mile an hour fastball is not that scary, and this 70 mile an hour curveball is not that scary to block anymore.
You get tough.
You do, man. You just got to do it. You learn by doing. I feel like what you said about the bullpens is also extremely important because I'm also guilty. I'll go catch barefooted and I'll catch shirtless and just like me and shout out Toy Moore. Where's Toy at? Go Birds. We'll catch barefooted and shirtless and just like get out of the way if it's fight, But there's such a value in treating bullpens like it's a game and treating it, putting yourself in situations acting like a guy is running. In our case, practicing our trick plays or practicing whatever game speed because you're only going to get a certain amount of reps like that. So like pounding the machine over and over and making sure you're finding your kill spot in your glove that's the perfect pocket and treating bullpens like they are just like game like reps are extremely valuable to like being a better catcher overall. So great point, CJ.
Yeah, absolutely. The next thing I wanted to talk about was actually when I got to catch you this past weekend. So we had some scrimmages. Bill got up on the mound and he debuted a softball toss. Is that something that fans can look forward to this year? What was that experience like for you? How did it feel getting up on the mound? Walk me through it.
Absolutely. I'm so happy you asked about this. I've never felt more alive than I was on that mound. I think it showed, multiple things. One, I want to shout out Matt Wolf. He's he can do any kind of trick ever. And me and him have, slung softball style pitches, back and forth to each other warming up. And he's, I've kind of messed around that with him and catching my sister. Shout out my sister Abby if you're watching this. She pitched all throughout her, high school and college career, and I grew up catching her and watching her do drills and how she holds the ball and spins the ball and different things like that. So I had somewhat of a base knowledge, and I was like, you know what? I've been yapping in Coach Viro and Coach Gillum's ear, and even Jesse for the last couple of years, like, yeah, I can do this, and it came to life. And I think, also Tanner Thomas, if you're watching this, I struck Tanner Thomas out. So, take that, T-Bone. But yeah, I've never felt more alive, man. It just goes to show, I think, all the pitchers that are watching this, or even the pitchers that are in the room right now, like, pitching's really easy. You just throw the ball over the plate. Like, it's literally just that simple. There's a 17.5-inch plate, and I think 7 balls fit over it. 7 third, some balls or something like that. Just throw it over the plate. Like, it's that simple. I'm just kidding. But pitching was really fun, and doing it softball style, first time ever off a baseball mound, it was fun. And having a catcher that you trust, because we didn't call pitches at all.
Nah.
EJ said, "You throw it, and I'll catch it." And that's a valuable thing to have. That's a pitcher and catcher relationship that you need to build, because I can throw whatever I want. I trust that EJ is going to catch it. And so I was up there just having fun, smiling ear to ear, feeling like a kid at heart, just slinging pitches softball style. And I just trust that you were going to catch it.
Well, it's funny you bring up Matt Wolf, because that was kind of the arrangement me and Matt Wolf had too, where it's like, you go do the craziest thing you can think of, and I'll be ready. I'll catch it. But I've seen you throw the ball softball style for probably 2 years now, just warming up, and been really impressed. I'm like, wow, that's really got something behind it. Like, it's powerful. I've seen you hone your accuracy in, and I feel like this appearance has come at a time where you're ready for it, because you're not just up there hoping that you throw a strike. Like, you're actually pitching, you're able to throw breaking balls, and you're messing around with faking, going down low, coming up top. And I feel like it's really effective. Do you think this is something that is going to debut in an actual game this year?
Yeah, I'm ready for game one. I don't think they're going to need me game one, but I'm ready. I'm going to be mentally prepared to pitch an inning a game. That's my goal. So I don't know when it's going to happen. You guys will definitely expect the softball pitch to come soon, and I might just pull Andy Archer off the mound one inning and say, "Hey, man, I got the rest of it."
Yeah, I think anytime Andy Archer's on the mound, it's a good chance to just get up there yourself. Andy didn't like that one, but super fun. I think everybody wants to see that happen in a game, and would be an honor to catch that. So,
sure. And I got to intro myself, so I'm going to be on the mic before. So.
That's it. It's going to be the most electric intro for the world's first softball pitch in a baseball game. Yeah, and then talking about, we're heading to Arizona this weekend. Anything you're especially looking forward to as this season's about to crank up? Kind of where's your headspace at, and what you looking forward to?
Yeah, man, I feel like I'm in a good headspace right now. I feel like, this off season was a time for me to go home and be with my family and be with some of my friends and get to spend some time in the outdoors, which I absolutely love to do. I get to fish with my dad, and get to, just be in the outdoors is where I find my peace. It's where I, reconnect with, being in nature is where I reconnect with God. It's just like a place for me to just, be away and recharge my batteries. So I got to do that this off season, and I feel like now that we've been gone for a while, I feel like all the boys are buzzing, and the energy is back, and we're enjoying being around each other, and the chemistry is growing. I think we have that itch again to be back, on the field again, competing, because it's a rush, man. I miss the crowd. For towards the end of the season last year, I never don't like the crowd, but there's times where I'm overwhelmed. It's there's times where I feel like I'm toeing the line with just getting through the day at times, because it's so chaotic, and I feel like I miss the energy and the feel of being in front of the crowd, and I can't wait to get back out there again.
Yeah, no, it's definitely tiring going through the course of the season. At the end of the year, it's a big accumulation of a lot of stress and work that gets put in. So I think everybody was happy to get a little bit of time to recharge, but I think that's how everybody's feeling now, and that's recharged and ready to go. Everybody's got some new tricks up their sleeves now. Everybody's really excited to do it again, and like you said, I think missing that adrenaline feeling, because that to me is what's so different about banana ball from any of the other baseball games I've played outside of NCAA tournament. The adrenaline that's in every game is unmatched, because the crowd's full, the fans are going crazy. There's a lot of fans that are just there to see you that day. They might only get to see one banana ball game ever. You feel like you need to give your best for them, and for the bananas. And you do so much getting up on the mic and talking, but even just the actual playing of the game, it's so fast, it's so intense. So you really have to be smart about managing your energy, but there's just nothing like it. Yeah. It's like Friday Night Lights. So I think everybody here in the clubhouse and guys have started to trickle in. I think everybody's super fired up, super excited to see all the fans. If you're going to be in Arizona, let us know. We're excited to see you. You got anything else?
Yeah, man. We're just excited to put that gear back on, man. It's catching specifically in banana ball it's a lot. And it's you get to be entertaining, and you get to the physical aspects of playing the game and being entertaining. It's a lot, but this is the most rewarding thing in the world, and I can't wait to put on my cheetah print gear and jog out there and be in front of 10 or 12,000 again, and in Mesa. So I'm pumped, and if you guys are coming to Arizona, we'll see you there, and come talk catching with us.
Yeah, that's it. Well, thank you for tuning in. This has been episode 2 of the Catching Corner. We'll catch you later.
Peace. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good.